If you have not heard about JP Morgan, okay, they have been in the news for the last few years for a lot of not great reasons. At least, yeah, well, it depends on your definition of what you think is great. What I believe are not good reasons. They are laying people off all over the place. They are forcing everyone back into the office. And then this was just kind of the new card in the doom deck for JP Morgan. That to me is just, again, going back to this doomsday clock. Like, come on, can we not keep making steps towards midnight? Why? We don't have to. So here's what happened. It's all over the news right now. JP Morgan Chase had one of its best years on record in 2024. Just crushed it. Absolutely crushed it financially, which you might go, yay, if you're a shareholder or whatever. But then you think about it, you go, wait a minute, you had your best year ever? And hang on though, why'd you lay everybody off? Why'd you lay so many people off then if it was such an amazing year? And wait a minute, if you're making everybody go back into the office now, you had your best year ever when everybody was hybrid and remote. Right, things start to add up. Well, then this just got exponentially compounded because on top of that, the CEO awarded himself. So the CEO, who, by the way, is responsible for all of these decisions. And I'm familiar with some people over there. I actually am familiar with JP Morgan Chase's leadership standards or qualities or whatever you want to call them. I can tell you right now, based on the headlines, based on the decisions, based on some of the things we're seeing, he's not getting an A in those categories, in the very categories the company would hold him to. Now, granted, they had their best financial year ever, but as a leader, he would have got an F. He awards himself an 8% merit raise to his $36 million base, annual cash income type thing. So he's making a good chunk of change, and he gives himself a massive raise on top of it. Now, before I continue, let me be clear. I'm not somebody who thinks a CEO should make the same amount of money as everybody. So to the haters or the people who I've gotten messages from before where they're like, you're just a socialist, you just think everybody should make that. That's not what I'm saying. If you're the CEO of a massive company, you have a lot on your shoulders. You absolutely should be making more money than anybody else in the company. I am in full support of that. I'm not here to throw stones at his income. 36 million. We could debate that all day long, and nobody's ever going to be happy. It could be 2 and people would still be mad. It could be 100 and people would be mad. That's not my point. So I'm not trying to say, oh, CEO of JP Morgan, he should be making 110,000 a year like everybody else. No, he should not. And if you actually think that, you should reconsider, because if that really is the case, nobody would want to be the CEO of companies. And this is why we see things fall into utter ruin when you try and make it equal to everybody. But taking a pause there, hang on here 1 second. Okay, sorry, little misstep there. So I'm not saying, right, let's not argue about how much his comp is and whether it's good or bad and all this other stuff. He should be making more. And if you don't think that, whatever, we can split hairs over what is right and fair. That's not my point. But he gave himself an 8% raise, which anybody who's been internal knows that's a big raise. That's a big raise. And the more you make, 8% on a bigger number is a lot. Okay. But what's got people so upset about this is that the rest of everybody in the company got like 2% max. And it's this stark contrast to, wait a minute, wait a minute here. You had your best year ever. You are changing the operations of the company, the flexible working environment, after having your best year ever. You're laying people off left and right after having your best year ever. You're giving yourself a massive pat on the back despite your public and measurable failures as a leader according to your company's own standards. And then you're not even sharing the wealth with the people who actually are the reason the company had its best year ever. To me, it is everything that is wrong with leadership and the world of work right now. It is disturbing and it's disgusting. And it really, really bothers me. And it doesn't just bother me in this, like, it shouldn't be that way. We should just make things fair for, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you don't have to exploit people and run a draconian ship where you treat people like trash to be used and cast away so that you can win. JP Morgan Chase demonstrated that this year. They had one of their best years ever in defiance of some of these things. They're now going, we've got to get around this because it's our company's not going to survive if we don't fix this. And it's like, well, clearly not. And the treatment has just tanked. It's really sad. I've had multiple conversations with people in JP Morgan at very senior levels and at, all levels. And the attitude is not good, but many people are just struggling to feel like, well, what do I do about it? Like, I don't even know what to do, which again, you're not going to have a great performing year next year if everybody in the company is like, what am I even doing here anymore? And it's just really unfortunate because I've done so much work with companies where it is completely possible to have people make a good wage, share the wealth with people, and still have differentiation. Doesn't mean everybody gets paid the same. You can still do that. You still can prioritize the needs of your customers. You still can achieve your business outcomes, and you can take care of your people. And if anything, consistently, I've seen when you put your emphasis there, the tide rises across the board. I can only imagine what JP Morgan Chase's wins might have looked like had they actually leaned into this, because they've been battling this culture stuff for a while. And once again, going back to my previous point, TikTok, the doomsday clock is ticking. And this is just another one of those examples where we go, really? Really? Did you have to take more seconds off the clock? Because this is the kind of stuff. And now the other challenge is, and this is something that is widely known within the organization, I think externally too, they're already talking about more layoffs. They're already talking about, replacing people with AI and all this other stuff. So it is, and then I had this just heartbreaking story from somebody where their leaders like trying to gaslight them into going, yeah, but you got nowhere else to go. I mean, you should just be thankful to be here. I'm like, you're going to gaslight people, you're going to treat people like this, then gaslight them into believing they should be thankful for this. And then you're going to expect that they perform well. Like, what on earth are you trying to do? And you don't have to do this. So I get really feisty about this one because I'm seeing how it affects people. And I've seen that it doesn't have to be this way. So if you are a business leader, I get sometimes you're in the machine and you only have so much control of it. But if you have any sort of influence or power, say something. Push back on this garbage. Don't just sit by and watch it happen. Well, there's really nothing we can do. If you're not happy, just go to another company. Then you are part of the problem if you behave that way. If you are in the C-suite and you're just letting this go and you're part of making these decisions, which you are. Okay, I know the CEO is taking heat right now, but every one of those C-suite members was in those meetings, making those decisions, signing off on this stuff. You are just as culpable as the CEO himself. So let's let this be a call out again, because I don't know how long people will take it. And more I am seeing people push to their own doomsday clock where they just go, I've had it and I'm done. And it doesn't have to be that way. There's a world where JP Morgan could make more money than anybody knows what to do with. And people love working there and they're well taken care of. And they feel like I would never leave this place, even if somebody called and offered me my dream job. So that one's to me just a heartbreaker. And especially because we don't need to be there.